Hi, everyone. I'm Ava Parker, and this is the story of how my perfect life unraveled into a nightmare. You know those moments when you realize everything you've built is standing on quicksand? Mine came crashing down at my in-laws' Hampton estate. But let me start at the beginning. Darling, you really should let me handle the curtain selections for your new office. These choices are rather middle class. That was my mother-in-law, Victoria. Middle class was her favorite insult, reserved for anything I did. She dropped by my interior design studio unannounced, again, as I was putting the finishing touches on my latest project. The clients love my designs, Victoria. In fact, Henderson Industries just signed me to redesign their entire corporate office. How quaint. Speaking of proper priorities, you'll be seeing Dr. Reynolds tomorrow. I've already scheduled your first prenatal appointment. I froze. Adrian, my husband of 2 years, and I had just found out I was pregnant last week, only 8 weeks along. We were waiting for the right time to share the news. How did you? Oh, please, she interrupted, smiling like a cat with a canary. I've noticed you skipping wine at dinner. Dr. Reynolds has been our family doctor for generations. That evening, I called my mom, Sarah. As a nurse, she was always honest. Mom, is it normal for Victoria to be this involved? Honey, nothing about that woman is normal. Remember when she tried to uninvite your cousins from the wedding because their shoes were from Target? The next day, over coffee, my best friend Kate, who's a detective with a finely tuned radar for manipulation, was even more blunt. Girl, she's got her claws in everything. You've seen how she runs that charity foundation, right? Everyone's terrified of crossing her. As if that wasn't enough, Adrian's twin sister, Angela, made things worse. At family dinner, when we finally shared the pregnancy news, her fork clattered loudly against her plate. Well, isn't that just perfect? Some people have all the luck, don't they? Her bitterness was palpable. I caught Victoria and Angela exchanging a look across the table. Something about it felt off. Adrian squeezed my hand under the table. Ignore them, babe. They're just surprised. But the surprises kept coming. Victoria started showing up at my studio daily, rearranging my schedule for proper prenatal care. She insisted on accompanying me to every appointment with Dr. Reynolds. It's family tradition, she'd say with that icy, unrelenting smile. We take care of our own. Looking back, I should have paid more attention. The way Victoria hovered over every decision, how Angela's eyes followed me like a hawk, and those hushed conversations that abruptly ended whenever I walked into the room. But they were family, and family wouldn't hurt you, right? The Hampton estate was picture perfect that Saturday, gleaming with crystal and white roses. Victoria had spared no expense for her garden tea party. Such a lovely afternoon to celebrate our growing family, she announced, handing me a cup of tea with a peculiar gleam in her eye. This blend is specially crafted for expectant mothers, she added. I'd noticed her preparing the teas separately in the kitchen earlier, measuring out different amounts for different cups. I hadn't thought much of it then. That's what haunts me now. I should have said something. The cramps started midway through the second round of potato fours. At first, they were small, like period pain. Then they intensified quickly, sharp and relentless. I excused myself, trying to mask the cold sweat breaking across my forehead. Halfway up the grand staircase, I heard voices from the study. The door was slightly ajar. This will solve both our problems, Victoria's voice said, smooth and calculated. The foundation's secrets stay safe, and you'll finally give this family its first grandchild. Angela's reply was a murmur, but the meaning was clear. My blood ran cold. The cramping took on a horrible new meaning, barely making it to the bathroom. Before the pain fully took over, I heard the sound that sealed my fate, the click of a lock from outside the bathroom. Victoria? Angela? Something's wrong. I need help. My voice was desperate, my body trembling as the cramping worsened. Don't be so dramatic, dear, Victoria replied coolly from the other side. Every pregnancy has its discomforts. Please, I gasped, clutching the counter as I felt warm blood soaking through my dress. I'm bleeding. Family matters stay private, Ava. We wouldn't want to embarrass ourselves in front of our guests, she said, her voice dripping with condescension. You should not call your mother. The pain became unbearable. My phone had no signal. Of course, Victoria had chosen this bathroom, the one dead zone in the mansion. But thank God for my smartwatch. With shaking hands, I managed to send my location to Kate with the code 9911 and the word baby. She'd understand. Another wave of agony tore through me, and I screamed. The sound was drowned out by the classical music someone had turned up downstairs. "Stop making such a fuss," Angela called through the door, her voice cold and unyielding. "This is for the best." Through tears, my eyes landed on the cup of tea Victoria had handed me earlier. I'd brought it with me to the bathroom, setting it on the counter. Wrapping it carefully in my blood-stained dress, I tucked it into my purse. Then, I grabbed the hand towel I'd used to wipe my mouth earlier. Evidence. Kate had always said, "Preserve the evidence, no matter what." The next hour was a haze of agony. I barely registered the sound of sirens in the distance. Victoria's voice was sharp and indignant. "Officers, this is a private family matter." Then, like a lifeline, I heard my mom. "Where is my daughter?" When they finally broke down the door, it was too late for my baby. But as the paramedics lifted me onto the stretcher, I saw Kate in the doorway, her camera flashing as she documented the scene. She held up the bloody towel and teacup with gloved hands. "Mrs. Kingston," she addressed Victoria icily, "I suggest you and your daughter don't leave town." Through the fog of pain and grief, I caught a glimpse of Victoria's face. The mask of control had cracked, and for the first time she looked truly terrified. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. 3 months living at my mom's house gave me time to grieve and plan. Adrian kept calling, begging me to come home. "Baby, please, Mom feels terrible about what happened. She thought you were just having normal pregnancy symptoms." Like how locking me in a bathroom was normal, or how choosing our doctor was normal. Adrian had no answer, but I did. Working from my laptop, I dug into the Charity Foundation's records. Victoria had given me access months ago, likely assuming I was too middle class to understand financial documents. She underestimated me. "Kate, look at this," I said one night, sliding my laptop across the kitchen table. The foundation paid $500,000 for emergency structural repairs to a building they don't even own. Kate whistled. "And these contractors? They don't exist. This is money laundering 101. The hospital toxicology report arrived next. Kate spread the papers out in front of me. "The tea contained misoprostol," she said grimly. "It's used for medical abortions. And get this, only your cup tested positive. The others were clean." Victoria's obsession with control was her undoing. Security footage from her smart home system showed her in the kitchen that day, measuring something into my cup separately. Then came Dr. Reynolds' records, years of monthly payments from the Foundation for Consulting Services. "Your perfect family doctor was on Victoria's payroll," Kate said. "He knew exactly what that tea would do." The final blow came when Angela showed up at my mom's door, mascara streaked down her cheeks. "I can't sleep," she sobbed. "I keep hearing you scream." She spilled everything. The Foundation's fake charities, Victoria's panic over my pregnancy, threatening her empire, and the plan to end it all. "I was so jealous of your pregnancy," Angela admitted, trembling. "I went along with it. I'm so sorry." Her signed confession was the nail in the coffin. I laid everything out for Adrian, the fraud, the toxicology reports, Angela's confession, and finally, the security footage showing his mother poisoning me. His hands shook as he stared at the evidence. "She always said everything she did was for the family." I thought. His voice broke. "I thought she meant protecting us." "She meant protecting her criminal empire," I said. "What are you going to do?" I picked up my briefcase, now packed with evidence. "I already did it. The FBI has everything. The next move is theirs." The raid came at Victoria's most prized event, the annual charity gala. Under the glittering chandeliers surrounded by the elite of society, the annual Kingston Foundation Gala was Victoria's crowning achievement, a glittering affair where Manhattan's elite patted themselves on the back for their generosity. It was meant to showcase her power and influence. Too bad the FBI had other plans. "FBI, everyone stay where you are." The agent stormed in mid-sentence, interrupting Victoria's carefully rehearsed welcome speech. The room froze and all eyes turned to the stage. The look on her face, priceless. Her perfect mask shattered as an agent stepped forward. "Victoria Kingston, you're under arrest for money laundering and aggravated assault." "This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am?" Victoria snapped. but her voice wavered as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. The society pages had a field day the next morning. Kingston Foundation, charity or criminal enterprise? Socialite grandmother to be charged in forced miscarriage plot. Her precious reputation, built over decades, was obliterated overnight. Dr. Reynolds broke first, striking a plea deal to reduce his sentence. Mrs. Kingston provided the drugs and instructed me to approve their use. She said it was a family matter. His medical license was revoked within hours of his confession. Adrian, shattered and guilt-ridden, came to my office with divorce papers in hand. "I'm not contesting anything, Ava. Take whatever you want." His voice cracked. "I'm sorry I didn't protect you." I signed without hesitation. Victoria's trial was swift. Multiple counts of money laundering, aggravated assault, and conspiracy sealed her fate. Standing in court in a designer suit that looked wildly out of place with handcuffs, she listened as the judge condemned her actions. The court recognizes the particularly heinous nature of using medical assault to conceal financial crimes, the judge declared before delivering a lengthy sentence. Angela sent a letter from the therapy retreat she checked into. "I'm getting help. Real help. I'll spend my life trying to make amends for what I did. I hope someday you can forgive me." I used the divorce settlement to expand my design business internationally, opening offices in London and Dubai. It turned out Victoria's society connections weren't the only path to success. My work spoke for itself. 1 year later, I stood on a stage accepting the International Design Innovation Award. The moment felt surreal, a lifetime away from the woman I'd been during those dark days. The news ticker below the stage caught my eye. Kingston Foundation appeal denied. Assets permanently seized. Congratulations on the award. I turned to find a handsome stranger holding 2 champagne glasses. "I'm Marcus," he said, offering me one. "I love how you incorporated sustainable materials in the Henderson project." He knew my work, not my scandal. His smile reached his eyes, genuine and warm. "Would you like to discuss design over dinner?" For the first time in forever, I felt light, free. "Yes," I said, smiling. Victoria thought she was writing my tragedy, but instead she handed me the pen to write my own story. One where the villain falls, justice wins, and the heroine doesn't just survive, she thrives. Looking back, I've realized something. When you try to bury someone, you'd better make sure they're not a seed. Because we grow back stronger, and we bloom. What about you? What would you have done if you discovered your mother-in-law wasn't just toxic, but criminally dangerous? Would you have quietly gathered evidence like I did or confronted her immediately? Think about it. Victoria thought she was protecting her empire, but her actions destroyed everything she built. Sometimes the worst betrayals come from people who claim they're acting for the family. And here's another thought. Angela chose to come clean and seek redemption, while Victoria refused to acknowledge her crimes to the bitter end. At what point do you stop forgiving family members who keep hurting you? Share your thoughts in the comments below.